is Jenny Lauren Dowden for Conduit News, and today we have Arkansas Employment Attorney Brian Vandiver joining us on Conduit News again. He joined us a few weeks ago to talk about the employee vaccine mandates, and he's joining us again today to talk about an injunction that just came down about these mandates. Hi, Brian. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Jenny. My pleasure.
We just learned that a federal court in Missouri has issued an injunction. As I mentioned, they're blocking the Biden administration from enforcing the vaccine mandates against healthcare workers. This is a big win today, not only for healthcare workers across the country, but specifically here in Arkansas, because Arkansas was one of the states that joined in on this lawsuit. Tell us about it.
Well, absolutely. Attorney General Leslie Rutledge, I commend her and her office. She did a fabulous job in joining this lawsuit and being a leader in this litigation. And they successfully today obtained a preliminary injunction against the Biden administration, Arkansas, and 9 other states from enforcing the CMS so-called mandate against vaccines and mandate to require vaccines. It's a big win for employees and employers, because employers were caught between a rock and a hard place of refusing the federal funding or complying with this mandate. So it's obviously a big win for employees who didn't want to take the vaccine for whatever reason, and now they have hopefully some relief from being required to.
This mandate involving the CMS seemed like such a massive governmental overreach, and a lot of people were left questioning, how can they even move forward with something like this? How did this vaccine mandate from the federal government even get to a point where it had to go to court for this judge to issue such ruling?
Well, the Biden administration pushed this as part of their agenda. We've seen kind of a three-pronged approach against employers. The OSHA mandate was struck down by the Fifth Circuit last month. We've seen now that this CMS mandate has been enjoined, and hopefully the federal contractor rule will be enjoined as well. But this has been part of the Biden administration's agenda to force employers to require these mandates. And fortunately, we have good attorney generals across our country, like ours, Leslie Rutledge, who are fighting against the Biden administration. And we also have great federal judges like Judge Shelp in this case, who did an excellent job analyzing the issues involved.
You mentioned the judge. He said several quotes that I thought were interesting, but he said the court cannot in good faith allow CMS to enact an unprecedented mandate that lacks a rational connection between the facts found and the choice made. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, as I said, this judge, he did an excellent job in his reasoning for issuing the preliminary injunction. To issue a preliminary injunction, the court has to find that the plaintiffs, the states in this case, were likely to succeed, and also that they would suffer irreparable harm. And he found those factors weighed in favor of a preliminary injunction. And the reasoning on the likelihood of success was very interesting, because the judge said, first, CMS has no authority from Congress to issue this rule. Even if they did, there was no notice and comment period provided, which should have been provided. And third, the rule itself is arbitrary and capricious, and should not have been issued. And then the judge goes on about the irreparable harm that the states will suffer, that citizens and hospitals will suffer if this mandate is allowed to go forward. So it's a over 30-page opinion, very well written, well done, and I hope that it stands.
You have, as I mentioned before, you've spoken to Conduit News about the work that you do with Arkansas Economic Defense Fund. Recently, there has just been an influx of submissions to the AEDF website. These are employees, Arkansas employees, who were coming up on hard deadlines from their, whether it's a hospital or whatever institution that they're working at, with the potential to be fired. Tell us a little bit more about that, and then now how that relates to this injunction.
Sure. We've seen hospitals across the state have these deadlines of having your first shot by December 5th or 6th, and then being fully vaccinated by January 4th. And with this decision, it is my hope that those hospitals press the pause button, and they should, because particularly the ones who have waited for the CMS mandate to come down, and that was their only reason for imposing a mandate, really have no justification for continuing with that, the implementation of that. So we're hopeful that those hospitals and medical providers will press the pause button, allow the litigation to play out, and not require their employees to be vaccinated at this point. And you know, I think that's in the best interests of not only the medical providers, but the employees as well.
For those employees who have reached out to AEDF, or they find themselves in a situation with their hospitals imposing these vaccine mandates, what should they do now that this injunction has been ruled or come down?
Well, obviously, I think that they should continue their request for exemptions to the extent that they have not done that already. But certainly, they need to raise this decision with their employer to the extent the medical provider doesn't already know about it, and put the burden on the medical provider to press that pause button. Like I said, it's going to be up to them to say. Are we going to continue with our plans that we had in place to comply with the CMS rule, or are we going to wait and see how the courts resolve this? And I'm hopeful. I really am hopeful that the hospitals and medical providers take that wait and see approach, because requiring employees to make a choice between taking a shot they don't want to take and providing for the family is really, in my opinion, unconscionable.
You mentioned another vaccine mandate from the Biden administration that involved OSHA and companies that had 100 or more employees. Mm-hmm. And, of course, that one had a similar ruling. But, PepsiCo, even with that injunction against OSHA, PepsiCo and other companies said, well, we're not sure if the court ruling will hold. And so they moved forward with the vaccine mandate. Do you anticipate that to happen here?
It certainly could. It could vary from employer to employer. And I think it's going to depend a lot upon that company's corporate culture and the leadership in that company. And that'll tell the employees of that company a lot about where that company stands on these issues and compliance with these issues. The OSHA mandate is currently in the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. There's a briefing schedule that should be completed by the 10th of December, and hopefully we will see an opinion before Christmas with regard to the OSHA mandate. So that's, again, another effort by the Biden administration to require employers to do this. And I think I'm hopeful the courts will find that all three of these mandates that have been issued are beyond the authority of the president to do.
Well, we are certainly grateful for this injunction that came down today, as well as Attorney General Rutledge joining the lawsuit on behalf of Arkansas employees. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
I think it's a great win for Arkansas. I think it's a great win for Arkansas employees and Arkansas medical providers. I think anyone interested in this issue should take the time to read the opinion, because, as I said, Judge Shelp does an excellent job of explaining the legal issues and why the injunction was properly issued. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And I'm hopeful that the medical providers in Arkansas do the right thing and do the right thing for Arkansas employees.
We do too. Well, thank you so much for joining Conduit on such short notice. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you, Jenny.